Our esteemed panel, joined as always by Simon Kaufman, Scripps news producer extraordinaire, and Stephanie Alston, one of our favorite viewers out of South Carolina. Hello to you both.
Hi, Jon.
Thanks for having us.
All right, give me a little bit more. Give me a little bit more excitement there.
Woo!
All right, let's jump in. That's good. I like that, Stephanie. Let's jump in. Simon, I want to start with you. A lot of heat this week on both political parties. You have President Trump under fire for not being able to come to any sort of resolution with Iran. And then also, the New York Times broke an interesting story that the DNC, the Democratic National Committee, is $2 million in debt. And there was some sort of like phone throwing incident behind the scenes. What do you make of all this?
Yeah, well, on the record, I just want to say that throwing your phone in the workplace, no matter where you are, never a good idea. Now, there was some dispute in that New York Times reporting. Did he throw it at a desk? Did he throw it at an aide? How aggressively did he throw it? But at least in my experience, general rule of thumb, you don't want to be throwing your phone in the office.
Good
But
point.
the bigger thing here is that this article is about Ken Martin. Even if you're pretty entrenched in politics, this might be a name you don't know on the Democratic side, but one of the more important people. He chairs the DNC. And the frustration here comes down to, as many things in politics do, dollars and cents. The DNC, the Democratic National Committee, the RNC has their own. Their job is to get candidates from their party elected. One of the key things that helps with that is fundraising, is money. And as you mentioned, the Times reporting, the Democratic National Committee, $2 million in debt. The Republican National Committee has more than $120 million on hand. We're going to see that play out. You're going to see that play out on your TVs as we approach November and there's more political ads. And I think that this is not the last we've heard of frustration at the DNC. If Democrats underperform in November, then there's going to be a lot of finger pointing. Hopefully not more phone throwing, but there's always the potential for that too, I suppose.
Yeah, these midterms are going to be fascinating, and all of this financial rigmarole just throws yet another wrinkle into it. Let me move to a different topic, Stephanie, and that is, I never thought we'd be talking about this, but measles. Measles cases at an all-time high, which is crazy to me. Like, measles is not something that used to keep me up at night worrying about. Is it keeping you up, Steph?
It's not keeping me up at night, but I am a little concerned. But I think most of all, it's important for us all to realize that public health depends on all of us. And I think we just need to continue to remain watchful, especially if you're like me and you're a mom.
Yeah, I mean, that's what I say. If you're a mom, you're a parent, you don't know what to worry about. First, the lettuce, the measles. Is Ebola going to come to the U.S., as we referenced in an earlier segment? Simon, let me ask you this. Measles clearly isn't eliminated, but watch this, it's called a segue. Will AI really eliminate, Simon, hundreds of thousands of jobs? Because there was a new Wall Street Journal piece that suggests otherwise, that suggests actually that there's a lot of hiring going on now.
It's good TV, John. The measles to AI elimination segue. I saw that piece. I think tomorrow we might hear the opposite. What I've found in covering AI over the past year plus is that there really is no holy grail on what it will mean. I think one day you hear it's going to eliminate 10 million jobs. The next day you hear it's going to create all these new jobs for millions of folks. The conversation has shifted a little bit in some folks I've talked to, where it's not so much this doom and gloom, it's coming for everything, but more it's going to change how folks hire. It's going to change how companies hire. I think we're starting to see more of that, where companies are leaning into hiring more. But if I had a crystal ball to tell you exactly where AI is headed, I would love that, but that's not the reality. I think the winners are folks that can figure out in their jobs how to use AI to make them a little bit better at their jobs, or how to find some efficiencies. But it's unclear exactly where we're headed. I think it changes a bit each day.
Stephanie, I think you recently, though, did have an experience with a company where they were like, you know what, AI can do this or something to that effect, right?
Yeah, I actually had a conversation with an executive who said that they've been outsourcing AI. So they're hiring part employee and part AI, and together it makes an executive employee. And so I actually do feel like I have a crystal ball. And I think the only people who lose in this is if they're afraid of AI. I don't think you should, or not afraid, I'm sorry, if you choose not to ignore AI. And so I'm just telling everyone, don't be afraid of it, lean into it. And if you lean into it, you're the ones who are going to be able to win in this market.
All right, and before I let you both go, I gotta get your takes on this. I love this story. So, a British worker who was working remotely, who suffers from anxiety, apparently, she won a disability discrimination case because her employer would not allow her to turn off her camera during virtual meetings, and she won. Simon, have you ever been in a meeting and been like, you know what? I just don't want to be on camera?
I feel like that often, John. Sometimes, it's a different conversation if I'm talking to you like this or if I'm talking to you like this. I think, I can't speak so much to UK disability laws. I know we've got some of those here where companies have to be accommodating where it makes sense. But I think, since post COVID, there's a whole new world. I generally like when the cameras are on more. It feels like there's that bit of connection. But I think this case is going to make employers rethink their policies, how accommodating they are, and what the standards are for folks that they're hiring. If there is that remote work, do you need your camera on? Can you keep it off? Is it just on Fridays? Somewhere in between.
That's a good idea. I think there should be one day a week when nobody in the country has to turn their cameras on for virtual meetings. Stephanie, your take?
No, I completely agree. I think we should get one day a week where we have to be on camera and the rest it should be negotiable. But I do think this story right here is going to set a precedent for the market because I think it's now going to make companies realize that when you're talking about mental and physical disabilities, there is no room for negotiation. Like flexibility has to be on the table.
Well, we expect cameras on at all times on this program. Simon, Stephanie, thank you so much. We'll see you guys next week.
Thanks, John.
Thanks, John.